Hey, bird watchers, welcome once again to the Shift Left podcast, where we explore the tools, practices, and the people transforming content operations. In this episode, we're going to zoom out to take a full journey through the end-to-end content stack, from authoring and content systems to translation, QA, and publishing. Diego Conca from Remote joined Shift Left to share how they navigated a major CMS migration, built a multilingual stack, and now became a Blackbird, a black belt Blackbird user. I got to figure out how to, there's a portmanteau, something there that I could, a Blackbird black belt. So you can definitely expect some sharp insights, some really cool behind the scenes stories, and I'm excited. A live walkthrough of how Diego uses Blackbird. Like, I haven't even seen this. He's telling me what he's going to do for the demo, and I can't wait to see that. But I'll have to wait because Diego, welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about a little bit of ourselves first and what food we like, and also about Blackbird.
Tell me, food. What's your favorite? What are you into? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I am based in London, so it's very, very difficult to have a favorite food because we have access to absolutely everything. And my partner, Emily, she's her favorite thing in the world is food. So we are constantly going places. Like, she's taking me an hour far from London to a random super mega place that, has this Korean barbecue, super weird thing. So it's really fun here in London. I would say, when I got back home, I sort of remember what it was, everything in my childhood, and when I was studying my degree in Spain. And I have to say that my favorite Spanish food is the food from my area, of course. But I can also appreciate that in the north, especially all of our viewers, if they have not been to the north of Spain, and you are into food, it's a must because it's a different level up there. So, but yeah. Food from Valencia, I would say, paella, if you know, it's only from Valencia. So if they give you paella anywhere else in the world or anywhere else in Spain, don't take it. Please come to my area. You will see what the good stuff is. And then we have a lot of other different things. It's Mediterranean diet, so it's very balanced, and we don't put a lot of sauces. And this is something that normally it creates a little bit of tension with especially Americans that put a lot of sauce in everything. We just use olive oil and salt with most of the things that we cook, and we are very happy with that. So yeah.
That's, my best friend's wife is from Valencia, and I always make the joke every time I cook salmon. I tell him, I was like, I'm making salmon with all the sauces, because that's one of her pet peeves. It's like, she goes to a restaurant, they have salmon, they got 5 different sauces, and she's like, I don't know what to do with these sauces. What are you doing with the salmon and the sauces?
Yeah.
And paella, very protective of paella, especially the ingredients. You go to a place and you see here's a whole lobster, and here's sausages and all these things, and it's just I could see the teardrops coming down your eyes.
Peas, man. When people put the peas, the little green peas on the paella, that kills my heart. I die every time. If I were a cat with 7 lives, I would have been so dead. Because there is so much stuff online that it just kills me every time. But I try to educate a little bit people every time I talk to folks, my friends or whoever, about the actual paella and how it's cooked and the ingredients that it has, because paella is just one dish that has specific ingredients and it's done in a specific way. There is no paella of fish, or there is no vegetable. It doesn't exist. Paella is like a phone. A phone is a phone, right? It's not, that's it. So yeah, I try to educate my friends and the people that I meet about what it is in reality, how it should be cooked, and literally they have to go to Valencia to try the best one.
Yeah. And you were talking about San Sebastián. That's what we talked. And so you said that there's a lot of Michelin-star restaurants there. I had to look it up.
Yes.
18 stars across that region. I can't believe that. That's a road trip right there. That's why Michelin did the Michelin ranks, is to get people to drive around and go to all the,
I would say yes. It's definitely a road trip, but I would say that it is worth going multiple times. First of all, because the area is very rich, and not only eating, but visiting around is amazing, is gorgeous. But also, if you want to eat in all of the Michelin-star restaurants, probably you will have a hard time getting a table in all of them in your specific road trip. We've been trying to get a table in one of the asadores, which is it's been many years #1 in the world, restaurant #1 in the world, and I think it still is. And you try to book online and they tell you after months or so, and if you don't hear, you never go, they never go back to you. So it's really, really hard for some of them to get a table. So as I say, go multiple times, enjoy the landscapes, and also of course the food, if you can get to these kind of restaurants. Otherwise, if it's not Michelin stars, just a little bit of Google research and talking to my friends, get in touch with me. I know a lot of stuff out there, and definitely you're gonna have an amazing time, even if it's not in proper sort of like Michelin star restaurants, for sure.
Awesome. Not only do you know food, you know contents, you know some content operations and some uh good stuff and some bad stuff. How'd you kind of get into your career? Like what was the catalyst? Like how is Diego here today? I mean, I talked about in a previous episode how I just absolutely fell face first into this industry like by accident. How about you? Was it on purpose or was it by accident?
It was a little bit by accident, I would say. Um, so I would start from saying that I played tennis when I was in my early 20s. I started to be a professional tennis player in my early 20s. So I was traveling a lot for tournaments and stuff. And I sort of like had my parents enrolled me to English language classes when I was 5 or so. So I've been studying English. I'm originally from Spain, as we said, but I've been studying English my entire life, right? So when I stopped playing tennis and I was something like 22 or 23, I was like, I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer, which, build planes and be at airports, and not being a pilot, but everything around that kind of engineering, it was very appealing to me. But I stopped playing tennis and I was like, oh man, I'm going to go into this. I was lazy. It was too difficult. I couldn't get my head around it. So I was like, okay, so I'm pretty good at languages. Why not study a completely different thing in humanities and do translation and interpreting? So I studied my degree in Valencia, and when I finished, I did a year abroad in London. Funny enough, I left London and then I came back. And then I did a postgraduate diploma in Barcelona with legal translation. And from there, I went to work for a few months in an internship in one of the UN organizations in Italy, in Turin, in the north. And it was an internship. It was very low paid. Of course, every UN internship, at least 13 years ago when I did it. And then after that, I was a translator in that post in the UN. And I was working as a translator for, I don't know, 3-4 months, the length of the internship. And when I finished, I was like, I don't want to be a translator. It's just not for me. I needed to talk to people. I needed like, interact and have conversations. And that role was like very much into, I give you something to do and you spend 8 hours in front of the computer, not talking to anybody, not even Slack, not even Teams, nothing. You just do your thing. And then when you're done, you deliver it. So I needed something else. I needed action, and I thought about what would be the way for me to stay in the industry, because I like it. And I like enabling users around the world to have access to everything in their own languages. But at the same time, I can continue to be in contact with people. I can take some projects and do this and then do that. And I was like, maybe I can try to be a project manager. So I joined a small LSP in London right after my post in the UN finished. And that's how I got into the localization industry, a little bit rebound, by coincidence. Yeah, I studied there. I was there for a little bit more than a year, I think. And then I moved from the vendor side into the client side. So I started at TripAdvisor, and I was there for 5 years, and then the rest of is history. I've been at Remote for 3.5 years now, and I was hired as the first localization person to start the program and to put something in place, and then from there, to grow and to see where we are going next. So that's the little bit the story summarized.
I mean, it's pretty amazing and pretty exciting too. Like, being it's no pressure, no pressure at all. You're the first one. You got to figure it all out,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're
pretty much.
sure it'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it has been fine, honestly. Like, and again, like I made the comment, like, just from my interactions with you and seeing like how you and the remote team are using Blackbird. I'm always fascinated to see how our customers are using the product to solve these different solution solving these different challenges. And i'm I can't even sometimes think of challenges like what the customers bring to us. I'm like, I didn't even know that this was an issue. you
yeah.
know
Look, honestly, Blackbird is so amazing that, and I'm not trying to sell it to our viewers, but this is
He's trying to
my
sell it.
experience.
Buy it,
It,
buy it. Yes, he's
it's
trying to sell it to
it's
us.
yes, buy it. It solves your problem, but at the same time, if you want to do that little extra that would increase either the efficiency or things that you had not even thought about, but it could be cool to have on your website or in your product, it is possible with Blackbird, and we can go through that later. But I have to say that I've pushed the Blackbird team to the very, very limit multiple times, and the team, the solutions architects team, they have been amazing through the journey that we've been through in the last few months at Remote. And honestly, if it would have been possible, not even close to being possible without Blackbird. So yeah, very cool.
Do you want to talk about that use case a bit? Are you
Yeah,
okay? Are you still traumatized from it? Yeah.
it's getting better. It's healing. No, yeah, no. So basically, our marketing team at Remote, we were using a specific CMS, and they wanted to migrate to a different CMS. So we were going to migrate into HubSpot CMS, which is a rare use case. Not so many people host their websites on HubSpot, but we decided to. So imagine having English US as a source language and 22 locales on our website. And of course, our website and our blog, also not only the website, the blog and the press release, the PR room and all of that stuff also had to be migrated. So it was a huge, huge, huge effort. And it was all pretty much all done by Blackbird, except for the US page, because those require different designs. But in terms of content transfer, it was pretty much everything done with Blackbird and with our TMs. So the way it worked is that we established as a rule with our teams internally that no content updates were going to be possible. So we were going to keep all the content exactly how it was in the previous CMS. And we will, if we wanted to make changes to those pages, it would have to be already in the new CMS. It would not be, oh, we're changing the design, we'll change content. No, because otherwise it would be a mess, right? So the way we did it was with, I would say we use something like 6 or 7 different birds for different purposes. But what we did was we had the US pages created in the new CMS, and then we sent those pages for translation. But literally what we did was to send them for TM match, right? So the way we produced these 22 locales was by TM matching everything that was in the new pages. And this was, imagine having to do 25,000 pages manually. What would have been done? Like, it was absolutely impossible to do that manually. And we definitely pushed Blackbird to the limit there, because there was a lot of functionality that was not there. We wanted to pick up some different HTML properties in the website pages or discard some, or the URL slug. We are a company that localizes the slugs, so it was very important for us to keep the slugs localized for SEO, like many different things that we had to work hand in hand with the Blackbird team, and we made it possible. Like, we did the migration. Of course, it was not only down to localization, it was like so many other moving parts, but we did it. We migrated around 25,000 pages in less than 4 months. And it's not that localization took 4 months. I would say localization took 2 weeks, thanks to Blackbird, because once we got all of the English pages, then we just had to send them in bulk with Blackbird, pick them up, send them to the TMS, TM match it, which was 100% most of it, ice matches as well, and then coming back, create the pages in all of the 22 locales that we have, done, magic, published, done. So it was a very, very exciting, challenging, and rewarding project. And yeah, even today, nobody knows what it would have been without software and the help of Blackbird, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit a important thing too. Is like all of our apps are really customer driven, right? Because again, like we don't know what we don't know. You're seeing, like, our customers are seeing the use cases head on. So when they're like, "Oh, hey, this is a specific use case," we look at our app and like, "Oh yeah, great, let's adapt it." I've been at Blackbird now for about 3 months, and I still don't know how the team pulls off what they pull off. It is some kind of magic, some kind of wizardry there. I really don't know. Um, you know, again, peeling back the curtain a little bit, like you ping me about something, I'm like, yeah, it's already in the works, and then just like today, oh, it's done. And it's so fast, and I think our customers do make us better, and I appreciate that. Just seeing like you and your team pushing us to say, all right, we need this, we need this. It
Yeah.
just makes the entire ecosystem better, because when you're thinking about content operations, I think you're right. There is no one size fits all. And I think that, I discussed this on a previous episode where we're talking about the concept of the traditional connectors. And
Yeah.
When traditional connectors came out, I mean, they were kind of revolutionary. It's like, wow, this is getting, but they were built to just do this one specific content operation. So you were forcing the end users to have to like fit into this box and change and adapt to fit into how the connector worked.
Yeah.
Whereas the new modern connectivity, the orchestration, and the world that we live in today, it's like it's flexible. It could. And when we see your bird, I'm sure there's a lot of configurations. There's a lot of things. It does take a little bit of gray matter in there to map things out and understand, like, and test and break things. And that's what I love to do. Like I was the kid that broke my toys and tried to put them back together.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, one time I was told by someone at Blackbird that everything is possible with Blackbird. And that I took that and I put it in my pocket. And then every time that I needed something, I was like, you guys need to provide this for us because you told me one time that everything was possible. No, definitely. I think the main difference that is essential for me in terms of the difference between the connectors and orchestration is that the connector is built for you. You have to adapt to what the connector tells you to do. Here, you are building your connector, your own connectivity, your own orchestration. And it's not one-to-one. It is multiple apps with multiple systems. You connect Slack, Notion, Confluence, Jira, Asana, Contentful, HubSpot, whatever you want, all can be in one. So you build your own sort of like orchestration connector, if we want to call it like that. I really don't like it because it reminds me of old times. But you build whatever you need based on the needs of your team or the specific use case that you have in your business. So I think that's the main thing, the personalization option that Blackbird and other systems give you to build what you want, and very like no engineering is needed. That's the key for us.
Yeah, it is. It's an infrastructure, right? And as your tools change and as your tools evolve and as new things come out, as we see AI and LLMs, we see all these things, and it's plug and play. And like I really do. I was a kid that played with Legos. I still play with Legos with my kids, and it's stacking these Lego blocks together to build what you need, that ecosystem, what you need. And I think that's a great segue to my next question to you is when you're thinking of that end to end stack for global content. Where do you think, or where do you see like the biggest gaps or the risks or anything that can go wrong with that whole process mapping activity?
Great question. I think it really depends on each business and each localization team. In our case, use cases, right? Like, definitely we are very dependent on web teams and copywriters and people to get it right before it comes to us. We want to process things and we establish rules in our birds or in our workflows that assume that everything on the source content is going to be correct. Everything is going to be done according to best practices. And we assume that to then make our magic possible, create 22 language variants of the page correctly to adapt different things so we make the user experience better. We assume these things. And at the beginning, when source content is made and when pages are built, that's the biggest threat for us. In case anything is not done perfectly fine, then our automation, our orchestration, our rules of how we treat content, how we localize content, if there is a concatenation, then the website could be, or the workflow could be completely automated. It's going to break, right? The end result is going to break. So I would say in the whole of the sort of like itinerary of the content, I would say the very, very beginning in our case is the most crucial one, because if everything is perfect and it's built according to best practices rules, then everything else is going to be extremely smooth. And we're going to see that notification at the end in Slack saying your page has been created successfully in 22 languages. You can go ahead and QA it now. And that's exactly what we want. But if something goes wrong, then we will notice straight away. And then it's, I would say 9 out of 10 times that something goes wrong, it goes back to the source, a problem that we had at the very beginning. So I would lean to that. Maybe it's a little bit controversial, but I would say it's not our fault.
Well, I mean, the name of this podcast is Shift Left, and I think that's what you're talking about as well, is because
Yeah.
I think oftentimes, especially in localization, it's very reactive, and the localization teams are getting things, and it's like, oh, by the way, we got to get this out in like a week, or, and you're truncating things, and you're trying to figure out how to do things in these timelines. And the concept of shifting left, of course, is again like looking at the process further upstream. Some of the use cases that I'm seeing too is to address some of those concerns, is actually using Blackbird earlier in the process to get legal reviews and for press releases, for getting like triggering workflow automations for all of these approvals and anything that's needed, so you can actually look at like the entire landscape of your content operations from start to finish, as opposed to just being like a piece of the puzzle, right? And I think that's where we're going to, and I think we're seeing strides with also using LLMs and using AI earlier in the process. Maybe not creating the content. We are seeing some people that are creating the content, but at least ensuring that the content is ready for the next phase of the process, doing some automated checks and balances, looking at things, the gotchas and all those things, and embracing the copywriters and the marketing teams and so forth to be aware of the downstream problems that could happen if something, I did stuff for a while, right? And in my mind, it was always like anytime I made like a text box around the English, I was like, well, what if this goes into German? You make that
It's going to happen.
On an earlier episode too, when I was talking to Steven from Unbabble, he had made the comments, and it's quite brilliant. I mean, in retrospect, is if your mission statement, or if your company has like the word world, I want to be the best in the world in your title, think of localization at that point. At that point in time, think about it. It's
when they say
great.
anything like world class or like the best in the industry, things like that, I'm like, where's your localization? Where, how are you supporting your customers that don't speak English, or whichever language that your sort language is? Yeah, definitely 100% I'm with you.
Yeah. And so, when we're thinking of like, like there's good multilingual content workflows, there's not so good ones. What do you think makes a great one? What do you think like is the epitome of a great multilingual content workflow? Is it what we were just talking about, making sure that everything's orchestrated from the start to the end, where everyone's in line and working together in harmony?
I would say flexibility, right? Like for a tool to give you the option to build what you want. And I think I'm repeating myself, but allow me to. It's essential. It's what pretty much everybody out there needs. And if they don't know, if they don't need it, it's because they don't know that they can do it. And I was speaking to some Blackbird folks during Lock World, and I was going to some conferences, and I was like, hey, have you realized that all of these people have pretty much the same problem? Their tools don't talk to each other. And I was like, but my tools talk to each other because of Blackbird, So what it makes a good content end-to-end operation is that, again, you can define what that looks like, and you can make it real with the tools that you have. And having that tool that allows you to, I don't want to do this right now. I want to wait until this other thing is done, and then I will do that, because it makes more sense in terms of content, in terms of like how you execute different parts of the workflow, in terms of like, you want to publish a page. Do you really want to publish a page, or do you want to run QA first? Like these kind of things, the flexibility that you have to decide when things need to happen, even when you pick up updates to pages, right? Like you can decide if it's 11 a.m. your time, or if it's 6 a.m., or someone is working in Australia, and we have a copywriter in Australia, right? For example, imagine these people work during our night. If I put this, the trigger in to work at 6 a.m., is going to be in the middle of the working day of that person in the other side of the world. So I can decide when things happen, how they happen, in which order, and defining what that looks like for every localization team. I think that's essential.
All right. Hey, listen, we've teased it before, and we've been talking a lot about it, and I'm at the edge of my seat here. Are you ready to share your screen and walk us through some magic?
I can do that. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so just for our viewers, so I'm going to go through a bird that basically it's called Shifting Left podcast. I'm going to rename it to Shift Left, because the ing is not is incorrect. It's Shift Left. And basically this bird, it's a workflow that we design internally, of course, with the help of the team. But it is, we have, as we said before, our website hosted in HubSpot. And every time that there is an update to a website page in English, localization needs to action something, right? Considering that page is localized into some languages. So I'm going to show more or less the bird, how it's set up, and what it does, and the different types of pages that we have on the website, and how they like branch out and they take different workflows depending on what it is. Great. So as I said, we defined every single day when the bird triggers, right? So we said 11 a.m. 11 a.m. It's not, nobody's going to be working in the other side of the world anymore. At the same time, some people might start working in Europe. This is UTC, so it's sometimes London time, not in the summer. And yeah, so we trigger this bird. That we don't, it triggers automatically every 11 a.m. every day. So what we do here is we define what are the pages that we want to pick up. And these are the pages that have been updated in the last 24 hours. So we have a Blackbird utilities parameter. By the way, Blackbird utility is amazing. It's something that it has endless uses, and
a whole podcast on the utilities could be had.
I agree. We're not going to go into that, but definitely you can generate dates, you can generate numbers, you can generate anything that you like for them to use them in a different way for whatever it is. So here we have a HubSpot action that is, we search site pages, which are website pages that are hosted on your HubSpot instance. And we say they are updated after the last 24 hours. So in the last 24 hours, we pick up those pages in English US. We define the language, and they are published. We don't want any pages that are in draft or any pages that, we don't need to consider, right? So we pick up those pages, and let's say, and we have a decision here. Another really amazing thing about Blackbird, that you can decide whether something is true or not, and then do different things depending. So if we pick up 0 pages, it means that nothing has been updated in the last 24 hours. Then we got it true. Sorry. And in true, we have, I have to go all the way left. It's very long because there's so many things in between. So whenever you have to like scroll very much to the left or to the right, it means that something's going on in the middle. So we format a date and say, in the last 24 hours, we want now that date that we've generated before to say August 14th, right? Whenever that thing is happening, and then we send a Slack message to our team, to one of our channels, and say there were no website pages updated in the last 24 hours, and that's done, and then the bird ends. But what happens if there are pages? So that's when we go into the real meaty of the bird. So basically what we do here is we define a lot of parameters for phrase. So we use phrase as a TMS, and we create again another different date that will be our deadline. So we will put a deadline for this new project that is 4 days since creation. So we do that here. Then we generate a date for the project name. We format the date into something that we want. We create a new project in phrase with an actual template. We defined what languages we want. Then we pick up each of the entries. So each here we have maybe one page, or we have 3, 4, 5. So we need to create a loop. A loop here means that we treat every result of the search individually, as in I'm going to treat this page, because pages are different, right? Like one page I might have it in English, German, and French, and the other one I might have it only in Dutch and Korean, right? So when we treat those pages, we want to make sure that they are updated, and we send translations only for the languages that we already have, right? If we want to localize into extra additional languages that we don't currently have, then we sort of like give that to the human decision. I want to do it, then I trigger that translation with a completely different bird that is not this one. This is the idea of this one is to be completely automatic, and basically just for the bird to understand what languages we already have and what languages we don't have. And of course, the languages that we do have, then we send them for translation, and we do the whole of the process only for those. So that's what we do here. So we get the translation languages of that individual page. So here there is a loop that we start for each individual page. We get those pages. So we have search, and this gives us a number, right? How many pages? But what we do here with this additional action is we get the actual page. We get that HTML file that we're going to use to send it for translation, whatever that is. Maybe we do LLM translation, or we put it in phrase. In this case, we'll put it in phrase. Then here we go into different types of pages. So if you come into the remote website, you will see that we have different product pages. We have feature pages, which are additional services that we provide with our main products. We have educational pages like the Country Explorer. You can know with the Country Explorer in which countries we offer different of our products: employer of record, contractor management, payroll, all of that. So because we have different types of pages and we don't have the same localization strategy for all of them, then here is when we do again a decision. If a page is Country Explorer, then we do this in this way. If we do have, this is based on the URL. So if the URL here contains resources and checklists and templates, we will do this. So I'm gonna go into one here that is, yeah. So let's say this one. We have resources and checklists and templates, and then for every single language that we have that page localized, which we are taking into account only this, because these are the non-English languages that we have. Then we create a project. Then we delete it because we need that information of this project to do something else later. So this is a workaround that we found, in which if you need specific information of an action to do something later for you at a later stage, you can create a project and delete it at the same time, but you can still use the information that project provides you, so you can use it later. So Here we will use phrase AI. We have some LLM models inside of phrase, in which we have trained them with our translation memories, with our glossaries, all of that, and we translate that with AI. Then it comes back with the target languages. We do a conversion of languages. This means that the different systems need to understand each other. What is German in HubSpot? What is German in phrase? Right? Like they might have a different ISO code or a different sort of like local structure. Maybe one has underscore, the other one has hyphens. One is with capital letters, the second batch of
such a pain point. Such a pain point.
So we have some libraries that define, and I can show you this here. It's just really, really interesting, and it's also a pain because it needs maintenance. But basically, here we define, okay, so I'm going to look for German, for example. And German for Germany in HubSpot CMS is DEDE, but in Notion, we have it as German. So in other birds, we literally fly our birds from Notion. We define some parameters in a database and we say, I want to send this for translation. And we just click a button, everything happens automatically. But at the same time, in Notion is German, it's not DEDE. So what this library does is whatever is in HubSpot DDE, then in Notion it will be German. So the system will not get confused and think, oh, DEDE doesn't exist in this other system that I'm trying to land on, and it's going to fail. So this, what it does is converts the languages parameters so they understand each other and the workflow can continue. Said that, then we have different branches for the different languages that we have, and we create a page in German, right? We overlap, because this is updated pages, remember, that we overlap and we overwrite the page that we previously have with the new version that has been already translated. And the cool thing that we discovered while we were doing the migration was that we could adapt currencies, we could adapt icons. So we at Remote, we use a design system that has a lot of icons. So we use icons around the website. And some of those icons have currencies on it. Normally, it would be the US dollar, right? So we have a calculator maybe that has a US dollar in the middle. So I talked to the design team and I was like, I think if we could have at least a few other currencies that for our languages, for example, for German, it would be so cool to have that little calculator with a euro sign, with a euro currency sign instead of the dollar. The dollar, Germans don't care about the dollar, right? They care about the euro. It's their currency. So would it be so cool to have the calculator with a euro? And they said, yeah, that's fine. So we work on that. Well, the design team worked on that for me, and they produced all of the different currency symbols and icons that we were using. And via regular expression in Blackbird, we made that possible. So when we are creating the page, what we are doing with the regular expressions is that anything that has dollar, we change it to euro in the case of German, but in the case of Japanese, we're changing it to yen, right? Also, the actual currencies of the pricing that we have for our products, we're also doing this with Blackbird. Everything that comes and is translated into German, we change all of the currency, the pricing, etc., into euros automatically with Blackbird, which is like, this would take like hours and hours of manual work if we had to do it for 22 different locales that we have. Like this, automatically done, regular expression, just a few things here. We are adapting icons. We have different sizes of icons. So we have 16 and we have 24 different sizes. So we have just in case for everything. Also, snippets. We localize our snippets. Like in our website, I can just go to Remote and show you exactly what I mean. So this is our main employee of record. This is a snippet. We localize these images, right? So if I come to the German page right here, you will see that this is localized into German. So what we do is, before we localize a new page or an updated page, what we do is we work on the snippets. We localize the snippets manually in a different way, and then we put them in the library of snippets. When we go to localize the page with Blackbird, what it does is that we have defined a very solid and way of naming the snippets. And the way it's done is that all the snippets that we have will end with _English at 2per. So the way that we are using regular expressions to pull the German snippet is that we replace the English with the German. The way we have named our snippets in the backend of HubSpot will have German, will have Japanese.
So smart.
So
that's
we
what we
are
were talking
doing
about before. Is yeah.
Right. So this is the action, the regular expression that will localize the snippets. And it's not localizing, it's just pulling the correct file into the correct page, into the correct language. So we're doing this automatically as part of the page creation. And then we create the page sort of like, we get the page at the very top. So we get the page that we had before, and we start making these changes. And then with the translation, what we do is we create the updated page, right? And then we do the same because we have different variations of German. So we have German for Switzerland, for example. So we will do the same things that we did for German for Germany, but now we will change to Swiss francs because Swiss people don't care about euros. The same thing that we were saying before. And we do all of this with this part of the automation in Blackbird, which is amazing. This was a big part of the migration that we did, and we improved what we had in the previous CMS. Like in the previous CMS, everything was euros. Everything was dollars. Here, we not only migrated, we took the extra step, and then we improved things that we didn't know they were possible. And this was just everything about this was coming as we were like brainstorming and thinking how we can do this. And then because we were working very closely with the design and engineering teams, and they were saying how things work. And then we started thinking, if this works like this, maybe with Blackbird, we can find a solution to improve this for our international users. And this is how it came around. So just to go back to the bird, when we create the page, then we update the project in phrase, etc. This is for a different, so there is a different branch up there, which I'm not going to go, but there is a different branch in which we don't use phrase AI. We default to human translation, and then we go all the way down, and this is where human translation workflow starts. So we update the project that we had created before, I don't know what this is. I don't know why we are updating a project, creating again. Anyway, there must be a logic because this is very thought through. And one of my employees, Chihiro, is very good at this. So she has done this, and I'm sure there is a logic for it, but I'm sorry. But then again, we take every single entry from what we have discovered before, and via the branch, we are sort of like funneling down that entry into this that needs human translation. So and then here we start again the different sort of like branching. If the name page is pricing, we want to do something very specific. This is a very, very high risk page. We don't even want to send it for localization and things be automatic. We want to make sure that whatever change has happened, we know what the change it is, and then we treat it differently, right? So the pricing page, a little bit different. We assume the risk that we don't assume the risk. We want to take control of this page, but everything else comes down. And then there is a very cool thing. So when we were doing the migration, and for our localization internal team, we sometimes update so many pages in English US as well, because of whatever reason. We see a bug, or we see something that is wrong, or we are covering for someone. We update something in the US. We update something in the US pages, and we normally will not want for that page to be triggered for translation within the bird, because we probably have done whatever we wanted, or it was only something that we needed to change in English US. Nothing else needs changing. So what we did here is that if a page is updated by Diego, which is me, then it is true, and then we don't do anything with that page, right? And this is the same for some of the members of my team here, some of the members of the engineering team, migration team when we had it, and yeah, and for the rest, it's pretty much exactly what I've defined before. If there is no pages, then there is a page that we want to treat separately. So we've noticed that this page, and we are taking the parameter of the page name of an entry that we have before, and we are sending a very cute here Slack message to let ourselves know that something needs to be done extra that is not done in the bird. But if so, we are creating a job in phrase for human translation. We are sort of setting up the workflows here where we are setting up the due dates. We are updating due dates with the job IDs of the jobs that we've created in the previous action. And we're doing everything that needs to be done. We normally do 3 steps. So we do translation, we do PM sign-off with the agency, with our LSP, and then we move these translations into our language leads, which are our freelance contractors, language managers, let's say, right? So there are 3 steps, and we update the workflow and the due date for each of them individually based on the initial due date that we had established at the very beginning. And then we wait until the things are done. We create also a priority list and an item for our language lead. So we have a database in Notion. Again, one more thing, one more app that we integrate here. So they know exactly what they need to do for the due date, what's the name of the project, what's the priority, all of that stuff. And we do it with this part of the bird. So when a project is created, we make sure that that project is the one that needs human translation, that is the one that is going to go through phrase, that is going to go with the 3rd step that needs our language managers, and we create an entry in the language lead priority list here. So we put the parent database here to understand which database this information will go in Notion. Again, we do a conversion. So what is the language code in phrase versus what it is in Notion, and then we do different things. So we basically build the line that language leads will need to pay attention to for that specific project, and every information is there. And then we send a Slack message that says your project has been created successfully. So that is like heaven. When we get this notification in Slack, we breathe. It's like everything has gone perfectly well. All of the things have been done correctly, and it's great. So, and then we have a checkpoint. So checkpoints in Blackbird are sort of like actions that wait for something to happen in a different system. So we have a checkpoint here for phrase that understands when the project is completed, then we start this bird again. So this bird, when it comes to this part and we send the Slack message, it sort of like remains in standby, right? It just stops, and it waits for the API call of the checkpoint, in which will be triggered when the project is completed. So this bird will be flying maybe for 4 days or 5 days, or however long it takes for the translation work to finish. And then we do exactly the same that we had done at the very beginning, except that this is a human translation project. The other one was a phrase AI project, right? So we will download the target files. So we get the jobs. Every single job in phrase is a different language for that specific project. So we will get the jobs, we'll download the target files, and for each of the target languages, then we will again do the conversion. What is this language in phrase versus what is in HubSpot? Make sure that they talk to each other. And when we will update the pages with the translations for every single target language that we have. And then we do all of the things that we explained about the icons, snippets, again, here as part of this part of the bird. Do you notice how long I've been scrolling down? This is kind of insane.
Yeah, it's I know we get the little zoom in, zoom out at the I don't even know if you
Yeah,
zoomed out, like, how
no,
far you I
I
don't
cannot
even
get it.
it still doesn't fit on the screen, does it? No.
I will finish with this when the project and all the pages have been created successfully and everything. We have an automatic action here to archive the project in Phrase. We don't want the project to stay there in our dashboard when it's been completed. We automatically, with Blackbird, archive it as well with this action. And then at the very end, the project blah 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 has been completed. End. It's very long. It's really, really long. I'm trying to zoom out and maybe like show you what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it
It's
correctly.
I
It's super insane.
yeah.
But if I go up, there is just so much stuff happening here.
Yeah, it kinda looks like a DNA strand, like, it
Yeah,
looks
yeah. So all of this is possible because I, if you see and how this bird is built, is basically I have decided what I want to do in each step of the way, and that is an incredible game changer for us. Like we decide exactly what we want. We can branch the type of content, even if everything is website. Not all the website pages are the same. We treat them differently depending on what they are, what their slug is, who has updated the page. We have total control of what we want to do and how we want to do it. So that's the game changer for us.
it's fascinating. It's fantastic, Diego. Thank you so much, and I think you hit the nail on the head of why automation often I won't say fails, but is limited.
Yeah,
Is the fear of letting go, the fear of not having control, the fear of decision making, and it's a good fear to have. If you're a project manager, this is your project. This is you want to be on top of things. You've harnessed that into a process map of okay, here if I'm manually doing this, I'm making these decisions and so forth, and you've automated it, you put in the safety checks, you put in the risk mitigation that you wanted. It's a masterclass in project management. It really is. And the fact that you pun intended translated that to automation,
yeah.
it just floors me, man. That's so awesome.
It is really awesome, and I think I am very lucky because I know my way around now in Blackbird, but actually I have one of my team members to hear that she is very, very, very good at deciding these kind of things and finding workarounds. And I would also say that I'm very lucky with my team because we have a very, very open communication, and we have established what are the things that we want to do. We all agree with the different types of content, and making these decisions and committing to them and sticking to them and making sure that we are safe with those decisions, then that can translate into automation. We can then define what the automation wants we want the automation to do for us, because we are very safe and we know exactly how we want to treat every single thing differently. And because Blackbird allows for that, it is very easy for us to make those decisions and then build the automation for it. So yeah.
It's amazing. It's really inspirational. And you think about like, of course, how you could continue this loop, if you will, of you're sending it to an agency, a vendor.
Yeah.
If they use Blackbird, and maybe they don't use Phrase, maybe they use another system. Well, guess what? Get out of Phrase. They orchestrate it, they pass it through their system, blah, 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 passes right back to Phrase. And so it really does become this you know, this linked chain of automation that could go down the supply chain. And then as we said, shift left as well, right? It goes into the content creation and it just gives so much value to the entire process, and you're
Yeah.
reducing time and you're reducing manual efforts. And I think if someone watches this episode and doesn't walk away with anything is possible, I
Yeah.
I bet you I know who told you that anything is possible. I almost said his name at Blackbird.
Actually, it wasn't him, it was
Oh,
someone
was it?
else.
It was someone else. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I'll have
Yeah.
to have a chat with him when he's back from vacation. But he's right. Listen, I mean, anything is possible when you are putting your mind to it and you have access to tools and you just really think through the process. And I think remote has done that. I commend you, and it's a pleasure working with you and your team as well too. And it's fantastic to support you on this and your future endeavors. As we close out, any final words, anything else that you want to leave our listeners with?
Um, believe that everything is possible. Again, I was at Log World a few months ago in Sweden, and I talked to few people, and I also was in many different chats and conferences and stuff, different sessions, and I feel that a lot of the struggle for localization teams are like that their tools don't integrate with each other, they don't talk to each other, there is some manual things happening in the middle of different workflows, and of course at some point a human needs to intervene. Like we're still not completely in the hands of AI for now, but so much is possible if you really look at different tools out there. And in my case, it has been Blackbird, and that's the tool that I've been talking to people about when they ask me, hey, how do you do this or that? But believe that everything is possible, and otherwise talk to the team and they will make it possible.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I'm hungry, by the way. It's lunchtime for me. I'm gonna go. I'm not nearly get as good enough food as we were talking about earlier in the show. But
Yeah.
I'm listen. I'm near New York City. I also have access to a bunch of great stuff as well too. So it's I'm spoiled as well that I can get great food around here too. But uh, again, Diego, awesome. Thank you so much for joining the show. Thank you for sharing that awesome bird, and for everyone else listening, keep shifting left, friends. Till next time. Bye.
Pleasure. Bye.